brakes there? Difficult to say, but I'm sure Berger has a very good idea of what happened.
There is Berger with his cadre of police discussing the issue. So his final Monza Italian Grand Prix for the moment with the Ferrari team. Of course, Gerhard Berger has had 2 tours of duty with Ferrari. At age 36, I think it's probably safe to assume he will not return. And that is certainly a poignant moment for him. There's Johnny Herbert, presently second to Jean Alesi in the race. He too has won his first Grand Prix this year. Look at the top 6 in points and where they are in the race. Schumacher, gone. Damon Hill, see ya. David Coulthard, history. Gerhard Berger, gone. So Jean Alesi will move up. Coulthard will almost certainly lose his position in the points if Johnny Herbert can keep it on the racetrack. Speaking of which, you see Mika Salo going by in the Tyrrell. He has had a big off at the Lesmos. And there is Berger, ever the darling of the Ferrari fans. Perhaps of the modern era, the most typically Ferrari driver, the driver most closely associated with the team. He has done so much good work for them since returning in 1993.
It's going to be very interesting to see how Johnny Herbert handles this, because Johnny's always been overwhelmed by Schumacher, apart from obviously the Grand Prix in Britain when he won. But here he is with a chance of winning almost on merit. And he has got a chance to push Alesi. And he's got to bring out that star quality that Johnny, we know, is capable of, yet we don't necessarily see very often.
And here's a man with something to do as well. Jean Alesi, never challenged for his speed, but often for his head, his racecraft. Now he has an opportunity to show that he can take a car to the finish.
And Herbert actually took a second off Alesi that lap. He's got it down from 8 seconds to 7 seconds. That's remarkable in one lap, believe me, around that circuit.
Well, perhaps Jean Alesi is tempering his enthusiasm. He does have room over Johnny Herbert. Alesi said it this weekend, the best parting gift I could give to the Tifosi would be a victory for them today at Monza. Recall last year he sat on pole for this race, but in his first pit stop, he had problems with the transmission, got out of the car, drove to his home in Monte Carlo, with his brother Jose by his side. At one point in the drive, Jose had to tell him, look, John, stop traveling at this speed or I'm getting out right now. There's Mika Salo, as we mentioned, on and off the racetrack. The Tyrrell team still struggling. Plenty of power from that Yamaha V10. Jules Bouillon looking for a way by.
And he gets it. Zips through on the inside. No locking up of brakes there. A lot of these tail-enders are having trouble actually getting their brakes as efficient as the front of the top teams. I don't know what the systems are, but they're finding their brakes less effective.
That was a pass for position, by the way. Bouillon is now in the 9 spot, and Mika Salo drops back to 10.
Cool. Herbert's really catching up now. He's closer than 6 seconds behind, that's for sure. No, closer than 7, should I say. He might even be in the 6s this time.
From high overhead, hard braking, and then feed on the power as quickly as you dare. There goes Johnny Herbert out of your picture.
And there's Hakkinen coming down behind him.
And Rubens Barrichello just behind him.
So it looks like we could have rather an exciting finish this race, having had some rather quiet moments throughout this, interspersed with the incidents of people flying off and stopping.
Good look there at the Jordan with some new aerodynamics for this race. The Jordan team recently reckoned that it cost them about $1,200 per mile to race their car. So if you take that as pretty much standard for the field, it gives you some idea of why Formula One is so expensive. Perhaps more expensive than it needs to be. Nevertheless, the most expensive form of motorsport on the planet. You ride now with Mika Hakkinen, I believe.
He doesn't know which way to go here.
I beg your pardon, this is Mark Blundell, because I believe that's Eddie Irvine just ahead. Yes, thank you to the World Feed for confirming. Eddie Irvine has had absolutely no luck at all. The car's been unbalanced. He's been on and off the racetrack. Qualified well back, was even slower in the morning warm-up, but here he is in the 6th spot with a chance to pick up a point. Gerhard Berger wonders what might have been. Jean Alesi still holds his destiny in his own hands. On to the backstretch, up over 200 miles an hour, and then braking for the Parabolica. Jean Alesi leads Johnny Herbert and Mika Hakkinen. Tonight on ESPN, the most storied rivalry in baseball continues as the Red Sox take on the New York Yankees from Yankee Stadium. Do I recall that the Yanks won the first 2 games of this set? Either way, Boston leads the American League East by a ton. The Yanks are in the American League wild card race. 8 p.m. Eastern Time live Sunday Night Baseball here on ESPN. Here at the Grand Prix of Italy, Jean Alesi leads Johnny Herbert. Herbert right there has gotten around Ukio Katayama, who was holding him up just that little bit. There you see the running order. There's the pits for the Jordan Peugeot team.
So they're going to do a 2-stop race. Maybe more are than 2. No, I think they'd have been in already. We don't know much about it this time, do we? There was usually everybody's very confident of how many stops they're going to be, but this is certainly a one-stop race for the big teams.
Well, for the lesser teams, 1 stop has been... Oh, and Eddie Irvine has parked it from 6th place.
I wonder if we can have any left at the end of this. It's getting terribly, very difficult out here, but Alesi is now pulling out just a little bit. He's pulled it up to 7.5 seconds ahead of Herbert. Herbert did get tangled up back there, as you know, with Katayama, so maybe that was a little bit of a contributing factor, but Herbert's still with a great chance to win this race. Got to drive immaculately.
11 cars remain in the race. Johnny Herbert runs second. What a career he has had. Terrible injuries in a Formula 3000 accident, given his first break by the Benetton team. Drove beautifully for them in the season opener in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, but just a few races later was dropped by the team, who feared that his injuries would not allow him to perform up to his maximum. And he returned to the Benetton team after a long stretch with Lotus. Has done well as Schumacher's teammate despite the recent friction. Won his first race earlier this year, the British Grand Prix, when Schumacher and Hill crashed out. And now it appears that Johnny Herbert will be a journeyman once again. But he says, I still have it. I know what I can do.
He's got the most amazing character, the most wonderful personality. He's very quiet, down to earth, and when he spoke about Schumacher the way he did, he meant it. He wasn't really being rude. He was stating a fact that that's what the sort of guy is, and that's what Johnny will tell you. He calls a spade, as we say.
The Formula One beach boy. His short-cropped blonde hair. Wears a lot of T-shirts and OP equipment. The Jordan team expecting someone. By now they no doubt know that Eddie Irvine has parked his Jordan Peugeot.
And Barrichello's lying 4th, so it could well be him.
Unless they want to rent the space, it better be Barrichello. There was a sign hung out at the racetrack this weekend that said, 1 Alesi today is worth 100 Schumachers tomorrow. Right now, the owner of that sign probably has all the beers he can drink. There is Jean Alesi. Alesi meaning after you in French. We couldn't have a less appropriate name. Johnny Herbert definitely closing up. I don't think it's 7.5 seconds now.
It might have made a difference on that lap. You don't know just exactly where that was taken. That should have been the start-finish line, but Johnny's made some time up through the turns there.
A lot of interesting rumors going on around the racetrack. We've talked before about Michelin returning to Formula One. Their number 1 motorsportsman, Pierre Dupasquier, has been at a number of the recent Formula One races, and there are rumors that some of the Goodyear contracted teams have been testing Michelin tires secretly in France. Now we understand that the Bridgestone Firestone Mammoth Tire Company has 150 guests at the race this weekend in Monza. So one wonders whether that Japanese tire giant might be considering a return to Formula One as well, or a turn to Formula One.
I always find it I think it's always a bit tough. Goodyear stay there through thick and thin. They've stayed there through all the hiatuses over the years of 3 or 4 different manufacturers, and then they've always stuck in there. They provide all the teams with tires. Obviously, some they have to charge. They put a tremendous amount of budget into it. And then the other teams just can come back in when they like, come up with latest stuff that they've been developing while Goodyear are supplying, and they just come back in, sort of take the ice cream and the cake, and then do 2 or 3 seasons and pull out. And everybody says, well, who's going to give us tires? And Goodyear say, okay, we'll stay in then, we'll stay in. So Goodyear stay in,
we're still
supply
here.
them again. They're still there. They're always there, but I don't think they get treated fairly.
Well, they certainly deserve a tremendous vote of thanks for all that they have accomplished, the safety measures that they have provided for so many different forms of motorsport. When you consider all of the different series in road racing, stock car racing, drag racing, short track, you name it, Goodyear has a tire for just about everyone. Their research and development process in Akron, where virtually all of their racing tires are made, including their Formula One tires, is absolutely astonishing. A computer-aided process that creates a picture every 20 feet around every racetrack in the world that their tires perform on. And those tires are under constant development. A great vote of thanks to Goodyear. We've got a break coming up. More action to come from the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Stay with us. Ferrari is out front. (1988), Ayrton Senna clipping Jean-Louis Schlesser, dropping out of the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Leaving the field to Gerhard Berger and Michele Alboreto and driving the fans absolutely wild. 1988, the only victory in that decade here at Monza for Ferrari. There is Jean Alesi hoping to add Ferrari's first victory in the 90s here at Monza. Now, moments ago, Rubens Barrichello suffered a tremendous disappointment. His Jordan Peugeot is now parked by the side of the racetrack. He has dropped out while running in the points, and that means the Jordan team is now finished. There is Eddie Irvine walking in. He will be joined shortly by his teammate. There's the gap from Alesi to Herbert. That battle continues.
We just saw coming out of the parabolica a wisp of smoke out of the bed of Alesi's car, and he's actually lost 2 seconds to Johnny Herbert in the last 3 laps. So there is smoke there. I don't know if that really is smoke or just rich engine, but Alesi is slowing. He's coming in the pits. Alesi in the pits. That is not what we anticipated at all, and you can always tell when you show a bit of footage about the last time that Ferrari won. You're sure as eggs, you're going to get a problem. That puts Johnny Herbert in the lead. There's a fire at the back. I did notice as he came out of the Ascari curve, there were flames at the back of the car, but they went out. And he's got it again there.
They hit it briefly with a fire extinguisher. Will they try to send him out? The crew is saying, leave us alone. No, they're saying cut it now. Problems at the right rear wheel for Jean Alesi.
There were flames coming out of that under the right-hand side rear of the car as he came out of the Ascari curve on the last time, but I thought it might have been sunlight or something, but it was certainly something very bright and orange, and he came in. That leaves Johnny in the lead. No Ferrari win here this weekend. Well, there'll be a lot of very sad people here, and I guess the car parks will be getting busy again as all the fans stream out and are the least bit interested in who the heck wins from now on. There aren't too many up there on the lead lap, are there? There's 4 cars on the lead lap.
Jean Todt goes over to put his arm around his man, Jean Alesi, who gave it such a great fight. And you hear the PA announcer in the background. Man who so desperately wanted to give these passionate Ferrari fans a victory. So Ferrari is now finished, joining so many other teams on the sidelines. We have 9 cars remaining in the race with less than 10 laps to go. In fact, 6 laps now remain. Thank you very much. And Johnny Herbert leads.
And one shouldn't say it because it's been 2 years today since the last time a Renault engine failed in a race. That's quite something, isn't it? You think of all the races they've done, Benetton and Williams Renault, and they've just had, this is the first time for 2 years they've had an engine failure.
That was Damon Hill's failure on Friday, I believe it was, and that was because something got sucked into an air intake, perhaps a stone. Here's Alesi.
I did see them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're the flames.
The right rear looks like the brake disc caught fire or something.
There's always the possibility it actually went through the brakes.
Something is falling out there at the back, so perhaps a brake disc decomposed for Jean Alesi, who's getting a huge round of applause from the crowd, and well earned. He gave it everything he had. One more look, definitely flames at the right rear. And you see something dragging there. Something is disintegrating at the right rear of the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Looks like a wire lead of some sort. Oh, he almost threw it off the racetrack. So a great bit of driving in addition to tremendous heartbreak for the driver, half French, half Sicilian.
I bet this man cannot believe, nor can Frentzen believe,